Hello. Welcome back to this podcast called
OnBullshit.
So much bullshit has happened this past week.
There is a lot of good bullshit to talk about.
Except we listened to our last episode that we posted, and we are supposed to talk about
Coffee.
Are we going to talk about coffee?
Yes, we are. I'm excited about coffee. I just read another fascinating article about coffee, which is basically saying that even though we drink, so many hundreds of millions of cups of coffee a day in America.
Millions? Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a Starbucks that opens every minute around the world, right?
Jeez.
It's just, when you think about it, statistically, it's just insane how much coffee consumption goes on.
There's literally like 3 Starbucks walking distance from my house.
I always forget actually about like the little, because you have the standalone Starbucks, but then there are a bunch of places where Starbucks will like partner with a store. Mm-hmm. I remember because like one of the places I used to go to, like Food Pyramid, they had a tiny little Starbucks in there where you could go and get
just like a little hole in the wall, little Starbucks type
exactly.
thing.
They're everywhere.
They multiply like roaches.
Yes, they do. Their coffee's not my favorite though.
No, I like their little, I don't even know what they're called. I guess they're like little cheese croissant thingies. Mm-hmm. I love those. We're not even talking about coffee. It didn't last very long.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll go back to coffee. So Starbucks, I think, is like, if you don't have any other coffee and you're not that big into coffee or a coffee connoisseur, then I think Starbucks would probably be the average person's idea of like a good, maybe high dollar cup of coffee.
See, I only like one Starbucks drink.
Which one is that?
The caramel frappe. That's the only one I ever get when I go to Starbucks.
I think I get the caramel macchiato, I think, when I go because of a friend, but I don't even like it that much. It's just something like...
something to get when you're up there.
It tasted okay once, so that's what I get.
See, our local coffee shop that's, family owned and not a part of a chain.
Right.
They have a coffee. It's a cold coffee. It's called the Milky Way. It's my absolute favorite drink ever, but I can never get it anymore because I'm not here when it's open.
I'm here all the time, and like somehow I do not know about this drink.
The shop's across the street from your apartment.
I know. It's pretty pathetic, like how little I know about the town I live in. But
so I need to remind you sometime, walk across the street and get a Milky Way from the coffee shop. It is delicious.
Well, I gotta tell you in advance, well, you already know this, but everyone else doesn't know that I just like black coffee. Plain black cup of coffee. Hot, no sugar, no cream, just plain black, like taste the intensity of the coffee.
You're a beast.
Well, thank you. I think it's becoming like slightly more common, I think, than people think it is, but yeah, I think I'm still in the minority on
See,
that.
I cannot drink like hot drinks. I've never tempered myself into drinking hot drinks. I can't do it. And I can't do it straight black because it's too acidic for me. I have to heavily doctor my coffee. So basically it's cream. Cream and sugar with a little coffee flavor.
I don't know what it was. Like, when I was younger, I hated, like, anything that I guess tasted bitter for the most part. So everything, like you said, just had to be cream and sugar. So, but I think over time, I really got into teas, and I loved hot teas and started liking the flavors without sugar and enjoying kind of the natural aspects of them. And then I think when I became old enough to drink, like, at first it was the same thing with, like, whiskeys. I hated straight whiskey. I liked mixed drinks. Mm-hmm. And anything like fruity, yeah.
I love cocktails.
Well, anything fruity to me was amazing. And then, like, I slowly started, like, trying to understand what it was people like about, like, straight whiskeys and other alcohols. And so I started drinking it by themselves more and more often. And maybe I just acclimated to the taste.
So, I guess a lot of those drinks are just like an acquired taste. You have to do it long enough to get used to it, and then you start figuring out which ones you like the best.
Exactly. Like, it's hard when you first try it to think, like, why is this good and why do people enjoy it?
You cough and splutter, and you're like, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah, because people like single malts, they're amazing, and you try it for the first time, and you're just like, I fucking hate this. Yeah. But I don't know. Over time, like you start to get a better perception for like what constitutes like a good alcohol or coffee
Your
or something.
taste buds evolve. They mature.
Yes, and then you're like, oh, I get this now, and I don't. You just get an appreciation for so many other drinks. So I think that's what it was for like black coffee for
We'll
me.
see. So maybe we'll start me out with tea instead of coffee.
We'll try it.
Because tea, I do better with tea than I do with coffee. I drink it more.
See, and we can get you some nice fruity flavors of tea.
And like, I love raspberry tea.
Me too.
That's the one that I absolutely love. Mostly cold. I haven't tried it hot, but I've tried green, like raspberry green tea, but it's like it severely dries out your mouth, like your entire mouth, like from your tongue all the way down to like your voice box and past. I'm just like, I can't do it. And then somebody told me that when you make it, you do your water, you put your little tea bag in it, and then once it's to where you want it, you take it out, and then you filter it again through cloth. And that takes, like, the whatever dries out your mouth away, and you're still getting, like, the benefits of drinking green tea, but it's not going to, like, parch your mouth.
Okay, I gotta admit, like, as much as I like tea, I never, I think, got to that level of sophistication. So that's new to me.
And, like, I know that when I kind of hurt your brain a little bit when I told you that I can't do Earl Grey.
Yeah, I love Earl Grey.
Like, that one, even smelling the herbs in the bags is just, like, instant pressure in my head. I can't do it.
The oils of bergamot.
I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just not high class like that.
No, yeah, I mean, I always joke about being high class, but, like...
You're not.
Yeah, no, not at all. Anyone who knows me knows.
Which is me.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And your immediate
friend.
family. Oh, sad.
No, I was just gonna say earlier, as far as like, because you mentioned green teas, like I'm determined I love black teas like way more than I love green teas. But
what's the difference?
I mean,
besides the herbs.
Well, that besides like I guess like the obvious thing with like the flavor, I guess really as far as I know, as when you pick the leaf off the tea, you know, it just alters the flavor slightly. But with black tea, it's a lot more caffeinated.
Oh, and you need that caffeine.
Well, I do not actually. One of the problems I had was like, you know, I think last year, especially like before I started weaning myself off of caffeinated products, I just drank tons of tea and coffee. I told you for like work. And I think I was just getting to the point where I had so much, like, that's why every night I could just randomly, like, crash and pass out in the middle.
Because the caffeine was gone?
Yeah, I just have the caffeine crash because I was just consuming too much. So I started cutting myself off from black tea and drinking only green. And that helped a lot. No, it's helped a ton. Well, and I cut down my coffee consumption, too. And part of it was because I stopped drinking Death Wish. Yes. No, it's still amazing. I love my espresso mug, but
hey, that's my best purchase.
Too much caffeine. Yeah, it's a real problem.
I've never been one of those people that actually needs caffeine. Like my brain's fine just by itself. I can wake up and just go, and then I can just fall asleep. I have issues falling asleep though. Sometimes I do need to take a sleeping aid, but just like the over the counter, like. The directions say take one tablet 30 minutes before you go to bed.
Right.
I take half of one, and then I'm gone.
Now, are you just like taking like melatonin or something like to?
No, like
help?
It depends on how much sleep I actually need. Like if I don't have anything to do the next day and I just literally cannot fall asleep for like anything, I'll take some melatonin. If I absolutely have to fall asleep at a certain time. And, like, I can, like, you know, when you can tell that it's going to be a long night for you and you're going to be awake for a while?
Yep.
Those nights, I have those nights, and when I know I need to be asleep by a certain time, that's when I take a sleeping aid. So, like, I can make sure I get the correct amount of sleep so I can get up and go the next day. Because usually that's, like, when I have to drive in the mornings. And I don't want to fall asleep at the wheel and just, like, die.
I think my sleep problems are mostly just problems of habit. Like, I'm one of those people that, like, if I'm really fucking sleepy, I'll go, like, lay in bed or on the couch to get ready to pass out. And then I inevitably, like, pick up my phone and, like, hop on Facebook or something.
And
start
it wakes
reading.
up your brain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. and I don't know, like, and you'll have to tell me your opinion, like, you know, since we switched to, I guess, like, night shift on, like, the iPhones, I'm not sure how much it helps me, just because...
Isn't that just supposed to help your eyesight, though?
I don't know. For my basic understanding of it is, I guess the colors don't resonate as well in your brain, so it doesn't keep it, doesn't keep you as awake and cause as much stress, so it's easier to pass out, but...
I haven't experienced this.
I usually, like, read, like, I do some of my best, like, political reading before I fall asleep, so I always wake myself back up because I get angry about something.
You start dreaming about where you're like, fuck this shit!
Oh, it's happened before, yeah. But that is probably the worst lack of sleep I get, is just because I read.
Your political dream ranting?
Yeah.
Oh. Political. Talk about politics.
We can, yes. Want to talk about the Muslim ban?
Because that's what it is. It's not a travel ban. It's not a at-risk countries ban. It's a Muslim ban.
Pretty much, yeah. I guess the only other way I could phrase it is a ban that just happens to target predominantly Muslims, but...
Mm-hmm. Even though, literally, there has been a very minimal amount of terrorists attacks, quote-unquote, that come from there, compared to homegrown terrorists that are just shitty people.
I thought... No, that's a good point, actually. Like, even, I remember several years back, I was reading stories where people were criticizing, like, because Iraq had passed and Afghanistan had passed, and we were just all kind of winding down and getting sick of the wars, but we still had a lot of, like, anti-Muslim sentiment. Mm-hmm. But people were writing articles about how ridiculous it was that we were worrying so much about Muslims, because if you were actually, like, following the FBI and the types of things that they were worrying about...
There's no Muslims on the FBI's most wanted list.
Domestic terrorism was actually a bigger concern at the time than a Muslim terrorist, because most of our problems with Muslims were...
Accessibility.
Yeah. I mean, our overseas, sure, the military has to fight, terrorist cells, and it's a problem.
But, like, even the Muslim community in the U.S., they don't give a shit. They just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
They want to be allowed, like the Constitution says, they want to be allowed to worship how they want.
Well, and most of them are trying to deal with people thinking, like, they're secretly terrorists here, that they're going, they're bending over backwards to try and...
prove that they're
go out of their
not.
way to dissuade people of that notion. So there's really minimal threat of Muslims, being killed by a Muslim in the U.S. But
no, it's like all these the most horrible, terrible terrorist attacks outside of, like, 9/11. Like, I don't want to be very specific because I don't want to reveal where we are. Right. But, like, Waco.
Yeah.
That was white people.
Timothy McVeigh. And, yeah.
Yeah. And the fallout of Waco was Timothy McVeigh, who was a white guy. Exactly. Wasn't he pretty much, like, a white supremacist? I know the Waco people were, I think.
I believe you're right.
This is way before our time. But,
Right.
It's like, they weren't Muslim.
No. No, exactly. The worst threat on the U.S. soil was carried out by
white people.
A white... Yeah.
And, like, they try to make excuses for them, like, well, this is a white person, and they did this shitty thing, but they did it because they're mentally disturbed.
That was always the thing that pissed me off, too.
Yeah, just like, okay, so you don't want to send them to jail, you want to send them to a psychiatric hospital and get them help, but they still murdered a lot of people. And they're not gonna there's not gonna be any consequences for that?
See, I think, okay, so we're gonna actually do a two-parter on this one, because we're into some great stuff here. So this was part 1
episode 3.
Yes, tune into our part 2 here, where
We'll be
we will
right
continue
back.
this discussion. Thank you.